Hey guys, it's Abby from Autumn of Pelennor, and today I'm going to be telling you how you can read books on a budget. So if you're here, you probably love reading. Most of us on the booktube love reading, and we don't have infinite money, so it can be kind of hard to keep up with all the books that we want to get to, that we feel like we should read, whether that's because of hype or because of academic reasons. And some people can really struggle to find where to get these books, and I'm going to list a few different ways. I will say straight out, I live in the United Kingdom, and straight away that gives me a massive advantage over some other countries. I have so many different facilities and abilities to access things, and for starters a lot more books are published in my country, so I'm aware that I have a massive advantage over countries like the Philippines, where not many books are published and it's a lot harder to buy, and they might cost a lot more because of importation costs and things like that. I've just used the Philippines as an example because when I've been in discussions about this online, this is like the country that most people are saying, but here it's difficult. I'm sure it's also difficult in a lot of other places. So hopefully this can help you guys too in these not as accessible countries. And if not, hopefully one day this global community will expand and include you. So I'm going to start out with the ways that you can read physical books. First things first, charity shops. Now if you're in America you might call them thrift shops, if you're in Australia you might call them op shops. Basically the shops where stuff are second-hand, the proceeds normally go to a charity, and therefore it's a lot discounted because it's already been used and the people have donated it for free. I think Americans have garage sales. In Britain we have car boot sales, where you literally drive into a field, pay a tenner to sit in the field for a while, pop open your boot and people come around and look in your car boot.
What do you guys call a car boot? Trunk.
That's what Americans call a car boot, a trunk. You pop open your car trunk and people will buy stuff out of it. Like you stand there and sell from there. We call it a boot here in the UK. This is a really good way to get books. There's going to be quite a few popular books here, there's going to be quite a lot of classic reads, whether actually classics or more modern classics, because a lot of people will read a book and donate it straight away. My parents are an example of this. My dad reads a decent amount, but he does not keep a single one of his books. The only books he's ever kept are Game of Thrones, and that's because he knows I want to read them. So every single book he's ever read gets given away. Doesn't mean he didn't enjoy it, doesn't mean he wouldn't give it 5 out of 5, he just doesn't keep anything. So lots of people do that. Therefore, lots of books that you will want to read will be there. If you've not thought of it before, I know most of you will have, but it's such a great place to go. Next, we've got things like the Works, Book Outlet, things like that. So as far as I'm aware, in the UK it makes no sense to order from Book Outlet because the shipping costs are astronomical. So we have somewhere called The Works. It's a discount store, it sells lots of other things, it's got stationery, kids' toys, art supplies, and it's good for all of them, to be honest. I watch an art channel that, I'll link them down below actually, Doodle Date. I love them, they're so cute, and I watch them and they buy stuff from The Works. And they have books and they'll have popular titles, not popular titles, and they're a much reduced price because they're kind of, it's like an outlet store. So I managed to get all 3 of my books from the Red Queen series in there, so they do have popular books in that store. It just depends on the time and the cycle, but if you're not going in looking for a specific book, you can really get a bargain by looking around and seeing what things interest you. In terms of Book Outlet, it's just like shopping online. Most of them will be secondhand or store cast-offs. I think they're store cast-offs. Like when they've not been selling, they'll be discounted. Some of them will be a bit damaged, some of them won't, and you just click through and order them, and I think over a certain amount you get free shipping when you're within North America. I don't really know too much about that because Britain and shipping. Next up is giveaways. Most of you will know that you can enter giveaways on things like Instagram, Facebook, on Twitter, and you retweet or like and tag or whatever, and you have the chance of winning a book. People do win books from this. I've won the Carve the Mark duology from Fairy Loot via a giveaway, which was brilliant. I've also won both. Oh, I've shifted my bookshelves around and I was wondering where my books had gone. I also won both of the books in the last Roundhead series from Jamal Evans through a Goodreads giveaway. So there's a specific tab on the desktop version of Goodreads. You go into like the searching area and there's a giveaways bit, and sometimes there'll be books that are on your TBR, and sometimes there won't, so it depends what you're going for. If you want to stick very strictly to your TBR, it's a lot harder to find discounted books. But if you're willing to go, okay, I've got a few books I want to read, a few books that I don't mind just kind of getting whatever, let's see what interests me, and you can find some great books. I didn't go there looking for The Last Roundhead. It's not a very well-known book, and I won it, and I absolutely adore it. Like, I go on about it on this channel enough. You guys know I adore it. So, giveaways are definitely a good one to have a look at. You won't win them every time, you might not win them for ages. I haven't won a giveaway in months and months now, but entering them does you no harm. And then the last one is libraries. Again, sounds common sense, but for those of us who are lucky enough to live in countries that have funded libraries, these are a really good source for books. Even if your individual physical location doesn't have the book you want, if it's within your state or counties or whatever's system, then they can normally transfer it across and get it into the store for you.
Into the library for you.
So they can normally get it into the library for you, and you can pick it up then from your local one and read it that way. So that's all the way to read physical books on a budget. But there's also a lot of ways you can do it via the internet, so we're quite lucky to have this as an invention nowadays. So various electronic ways to read books. The first one I'm going to say is Project Gutenberg. This is an online database of a load of free books that are all out of copyright. So these aren't going to be ACOTAR, there's not going to be Throne of Glass, there's not going to be Red Queen or The Bowen Seasonal, there's nothing even relatively new, but all of the classics. So I think there's going to be Sherlock Holmes, Alice in Wonderland, War and Peace, all of the classic books will be on there. So if you are wanting to read the classics and you're struggling for money and you have access to the internet, you can get it on there. You can download it in different formats, whether you're going to read it on your phone, iPad or tablet, Kindle, or just on your laptop. You can download it in the right format for you, and that way it's completely legal because they're all out of copyright. It's going to be relatively simple formatting, and it's a great way to read classics. Another really good way is to sign up for services like BookBub. Now this is the only one I personally know of, because I did sign up for them for a while and then had to stop because I had too many. They will send you emails with genres of books that you like that are in the bracket of price that you've said that you want to read. These will all be ebooks, and they'll be for the format that you've said that you want, so, you know, Kindle, Android e-reader, things like that, or PDF or whatever, or even for iBooks. And I personally set mine as the price to free, and then I tracked some authors, so sometimes I'll get emails about like Agatha Christie books for $1.99, but most of the books is just like, ah, you like crime? Here's a crime book, it's free. And I had it set for iBooks when I was using my iPhone. Download it, read it, sorted. And this is all completely legal, this is all completely fair. It's just going through the stores, Kindle store, iBook store, anything like that, and finding the books that are either on offer or are free all the time. And you can read a lot of great books on there. I picked up one called The Woodlands. Just picked it up at random. I wanted something to read while I was at school in my free periods. I was just scrolling through it on my phone, ended up absolutely loving it, gave it 4 out of 5 stars. You can find some really good ones on there that just aren't as well known because the publishers haven't hyped them. On that same vein, going through the Kindle store or the iBook store or Kobo store or whatever, they'll have a lot of books that are free. And again, this is unlikely to be the big books. I think I've seen one of the Lara Jean books for free once. But most of the time it's going to be not as well known books, but they're free. Most of the time they're good. If they're not, you've lost no money, you've just lost a bit of time, you just DNF it. And it's a really good way to up your reading and read a lot more because you can do it on your phone as well. And yeah, it's a really great way to find free books. Then most of you will know, but I'm sure some of you won't, you can use electronic versions of reading from your library. So in America, I think they have Overdrive subscriptions with different libraries. We don't have that here in the UK. We have different services that you can sign up to for libraries. None of them are quite as good as Overdrive, but they're getting there, and it means that you can download ebooks or audiobooks to your phone or to your laptop or whatever device. I don't think you can do it for Kindle, but I think any device that like can go on the internet like normal and download this app, you can get the book on there. So you can get audiobooks. It's a great way to have free audiobooks. You might have to have a waiting list. You probably will have a time that you have to give the book back by. However, it's completely free. And you don't have the hassle of going to the library if you don't live close to it, or being stuck with their limited stock and having to wait for books to come in from a different library if yours is a really small one. And the last way is to request e-arcs. Now, this is a bit of a weird one because you can't just do it as a regular person. You can't just say, oh, I want an e-arc, are you going to promote the book? No. But you can do it from having a very small following. So I started requesting e-arcs from NetGalley when I had a following on my blog of like 5-10 people. And I just thought, what the heck, I'll sign up. I'll see what happens. If they reject me, okay, they reject me, and I can just wait until my following grows. Now, my following still ain't that big, but I get my e-arcs. And I've also signed up to
I don't know how to say it. I want to Germanify it, so Edelweiss, but then it might be Edelweiss. I'm going to say Edelweiss.
There's also another service called Edelweiss that also does e-arcs. There's a few other services, but you just sign up, you say who you are within the book community, so there's options for librarians, for publishers, and then you just say that you're like a personal blogger, YouTuber, reviewer, and just make sure you're completely honest about what you do. There's no point in lying because you are likely to still get review copies anyway. You might not get your favourite book, but you will get some good ones. When I had a really small following, I got an e-arc of The Bells by Danielle Clayton. I got The Hazelwood, To Kill a Kingdom. You do get some really popular and hyped books without having to resort to lying. Don't do it. It's not good. There's no point. But yeah, so you just sign up, have a book blog, write some reviews, like a decent number of reviews of books that you've already read. They can be bad reviews, they can be good reviews. Try not to be mean to the author, but yeah, just put up reviews, and then NetGalley will pop you through their system and then go, here you go, these are the books that you've been okayed for. And you can download these in certain formats, so you can get them sent straight to a Kindle, so you can do that with a Kindle app on an Android device or an Apple device, or just send it to an actual Kindle, or get it and read it on your laptop and things like that. So there's lots of different ways to read the stuff that comes from NetGalley. Edelweiss I'm not as familiar with. I know that they can send stuff to your Kindle because I've had a few things sent to it, but I've only requested 4 books so far from them, so we'll see how that develops. But yeah, so if you have an active presence in the book community, even if you have a small following from that active presence, you can still get e-arcs. And if you don't know, I should probably explain, an ARC, A-R-C, is an advanced reader's copy. It's before the finalisation of a book. They'll send it out to reviewers, the reviewers will read it, and then they give feedback in return for being able to read it early, sort of thing. It's like you promote it. So I will say, if you do get an e-arc, you need to review every e-arc that you get, realistically, if you're a smaller blogger. If you're a bigger one, there's a bit more of a leeway because you might not want to mention books that you weren't keen on, things like that, but as a smaller blogger and YouTuber, I will review every single arc that I ever read, just because they've been nice enough to let me have early access to it and to want my opinion, so I give them it. And that's just a few ways that you can get books on the internet or in real life to read when you're on a budget. So some ways are free. Technically you have to pay for the Wi-Fi, but you aren't paying for the product, and some ways cost you a little bit of money but a lot less than it would at retail price. So definitely have a hunt around in different shops or online for different places. Don't resort to getting and downloading illegal PDF files and stuff like that. It really doesn't help the author, and yeah, sure, you might love the book, but if you don't buy it, they get no money from it, and then they can't keep writing because the publishers think there's no interest. I'm pretty sure there's a case of that happening with Maggie Stiefvater, where I think it was the Raven Boys books that she was putting out, and they were having slower, like, decline in sales, and then her and her brother went on like a rampage to make sure that no one could download this illegally, and suddenly the actual sales went up, and the publisher went, oh yeah, it's really good sales, we'll publish the next one really soon, and like we're actually going to like promote it and stuff. So it really does have a massive impact on the authors, and these are a few ways that you can try and find books that you want to read You might not be able to instantaneously get your like most hyped book for free, but it'll turn up in a charity shop one day. Don't hurt the authors. So after that mini rant about piracy, that's everything from me for this video. I hope that I've given you guys some ideas for how to get books on a budget. I know what it's like to not have money for books. I am a university student and most of my money needs to go on my accommodation, my food and my actual course and the stuff that goes with it. So me being such an avid reader, I've had to find different ways around that. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope this has helped you out just a little bit, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!